beginning, they didn't have evidence, and perhaps your first thought is a novel virus, 8-to-1 ratio of natural to lab. But then you have to take the facts into account. The fact that it was right next to the lab that's doing more coronavirus research than anyone any place in the world. The fact that it's not in the market. The fact that the people that got it in the market got it, didn't get it from animals. They got it from other humans. We can prove that genetically. So each piece of evidence, every single piece of evidence, points away from nature and towards the laboratory. And then you have to pivot. If you're a scientist, you say, okay, I got new facts. I got to make new conclusions from those. And that was a step that was missing.
Is there something odd about this process that we're not necessarily following the scientific method, and instead we are encamping with our various political tribes members? Because it seems like if you're on one side or the other, you believe one set of facts versus another instead of finding the objective facts. Is that unusual in your experience?
It absolutely is. And as a scientist talking to advising people and giving my scientific advice on something, I always am sure to show how a scientist talks. They say, I have this piece of evidence, and based on this evidence, I come to this conclusion. I challenge you to find scientists out there talking from the facts. They simply give you the conclusion, and once they do that, they're an advocate. They're not a scientist anymore.
All right, so where do we go in terms of masking in this country? Because there has been a great deal of conflicting advice. The CDC says one thing, which we like to hear, which is vaccinated adults can go unmasked. But then the WHO is saying even if you've been vaccinated, you still have to mask up. So how are we lay people supposed to figure it out when we're getting totally contradictory information throughout the entire pandemic?
So I'll use the thing I just told you I should do. Based on peer-reviewed studies, very large peer-reviewed studies, if you are vaccinated, there's no additional benefit from wearing a mask.
Yeah, so why is LA County telling everyone to wear, they're recommending, it's not a mandate, but they're saying that they're strongly recommending that people should wear masks indoors?
I don't know. It's not based on science.
It's not. And it's okay if, people you really like, you disagree with. When the science leads you to a conclusion, you should go there. But it seems as though so many of your colleagues are kicking and screaming, and it seems absolutely critical that we hold China accountable. Will that ever happen?
Well, that's a political question. I'm here to deliver the facts and the probabilities that it came from a laboratory, which is
what is the probability that this could happen again?
Well, it will happen again if we don't do anything, and there's no probability on that. That's for sure.
All right, that's why we have to do something. Dr. Quay, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
I'd like to make one clarification on what he said. He referenced that vaccinated people, he's saying there's not really much benefit to wearing a mask indoors based on peer-reviewed studies. And then she's asking about why they are recommending people wear masks indoors. Critical detail. He said vaccinated people, there is little benefit to wearing a mask indoors. Now, we have no way of knowing who's vaccinated and who's not, right? So on an individual level, yeah, if I'm vaccinated, why are you telling me to wear a mask when the science doesn't match that? However, that's not how we deal in the public. It's not on an individual level. When you have a restaurant, we don't have any way of knowing who's vaccinated and who's not. So the focus there would be to protect the masses. And there's a risk level of people who will come to your restaurant who won't be vaccinated and who maybe will lie and say that they are. And then that will be a scenario that is not what this doctor just talked about. He talked about vaccinated people. So if you got a restaurant with people that are in there that are not vaccinated, that's not something that's peer reviewed. That's okay. Right? So that's why you got to pay attention to details. He's saying no reason for it, vaccinated. And then they talk about a scenario where we don't know if everyone's vaccinated and saying, why are they wearing masks? No. If the data says vaccinated, there's no need. You got to show me a scenario where you have a place filled with vaccinated people and they're being told to wear a mask. Then it's like, okay, we know it doesn't do much. These guys are all vaccinated, so what's the problem? But we don't know that everyone's vaccinated. Anyway, I just thought I would share this video with you guys. I thought that was a interesting discussion, which you're not going to hear on left-wing media, just like you're not going to hear anything about the January 6th attack, anything substantive anyway, because our media exists in two silos. Well, you are listening to the Anti-Echo Chamber. This is the Debate Me channel, and we are going to war with the echo chambers. We're trying to yank out as many people as we can from their bubbles, and we invite them all, fellow Americans, to join us in reality. Abandon the Democrats, abandon the Republicans, abandon liberal media, partisan liberal media rather, and abandon partisan conservative media. Divided we fall, but together we're strong. Let's be together on the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. This is the Anti-Echo Chamber.